Hello everyone, my name is Trevor Bragg. I'm here to give you everything you need to know about living in Phoenix. Today we are talking about the West Valley. What is the best city to live in the West Valley? When I say the West Valley, that means pretty much everything west of Phoenix. So you have Phoenix in the middle. We're going to be talking about Glendale, Peoria, Surprise, Avondale, Goodyear, Buckeye, El Mirage, Litchfield Park, Sun City, sort of, not really. That's a different community, but pretty much everything west of Phoenix that is in the general area. Where should you be moving to? What is the best city? We've been doing a lot of West Valley stuff. This is going to be kind of my last one for now, and then we're going to start focusing on the East Valley as well, so you get a better idea of the entire Phoenix area. So my wife and I, a little story time right here. We used to live in Central Phoenix, and we loved it. We rented a little apartment there when we first moved out to Phoenix, just getting a feel for the area, getting our feet under us and everything like that. I mean, we moved here right out of college, and, you know, we didn't have a lot of money, so we needed to rent a small one-bedroom apartment in Central Phoenix, and we loved it. We were kind of not close to downtown, like we weren't in downtown, we were probably about 10 minutes north of it, but it was a great area. There were great restaurants around, the houses by us were incredible, felt very safe in that neighborhood. I mean, we were 10 minutes from downtown, so all the great restaurants, bars, things to do, sports stadiums, all that good stuff. We were really close by to that. And then after we lived there for a year, we pretty much really wanted to move, and not because we didn't like the area, but because we wanted to buy a house is why we wanted to move. And we ended up settling in the West Valley. So why is that? Why did we move to the West Valley? I don't want to tell you what city just yet, because if you've been watching, you probably already know. But if you haven't, I'll let you know a little bit later why we picked the specific city we chose. Now, the main reason we chose the West Valley over the East Valley just in general was going to be price range. Even though my wife worked in Scottsdale, northern Scottsdale over in the East Valley, we could not afford a Scottsdale house or a Gilbert house or even most Chandler or Tempe houses. We were not going to afford that. There were some in Phoenix we were going to afford, but maybe not the neighborhood we were looking to move into. So that is why we chose the West Valley, was because of the price range of homes that you could move into in a neighborhood that we liked. That was by far our first choice. So let's break it down, all the different cities and which one maybe you should be moving to. Maybe now you understand a little bit why people choose the West Valley. Price range is going to be a big one. Also, the family friendliness that is among them. There are still some great things to do. Most of the top things to do, though, are going to be obviously in downtown and in the East Valley. So West Valley is mostly, if you're going to be moving there, the main reason is going because there's going to be some great homes there. There's some new builds that are amazing, but also the price range and the family-friendly areas that are going on there. So let's break it down. What are the best cities to move in when you move into the West Valley? So we're going to go through all of them. We're going to narrow it down to 3, and between those 3, then the option is going to be yours, and I'll tell you which one I picked in particular. So let's go through it. So the furthest in the West Valley that I would recommend people move into if you still want to be considered in the Phoenix area is going to be Buckeye, and even that, you're probably 45 minutes from downtown. Now, if you didn't know, in 2020, Buckeye was the highest appreciating city in the entire country. Why is this? Because it was sort of a middle of nowhere, not a lot going on over in Buckeye, and then they started building like crazy, and because people wanted to move to the Phoenix area, maybe they could work remote, Buckeye became extremely, extremely popular. People were moving there all the time. Builders are flocking there to build more homes because we need to spread out the city. And the place that had the most land was going to be Buckeye. They had a lot of land to build around. And so as the city has developed over really the last like 3 to 5 years, has it developed a ton, it's become a decent spot to live where you are going to have some shopping, some restaurants, but still, it's not my #1 recommendation because of how far it is. It's its own city. Like, don't plan on living in Buckeye and getting access to Phoenix or Scottsdale. You can, but it's an hour and a half drive. If there's traffic, it could be much longer than that. And so that's why it's not my #1 option. Now, if you work from home, you got family over there, that's when it could be a good option. And the good news about it is that prices are going to be much cheaper over in Buckeye. You could find some homes right around the $300 to $350 range that you're probably not going to find just about any other city that we mentioned. The median sale price in Buckeye overall is $400,000. So if you're wanting the medium average house in Buckeye, it is going to be $400,000, which is still going to be much cheaper than the rest of the homes that we're going to take a look at. So now moving over a little bit, we can move over to the Goodyear area. And Goodyear has also begun to expand a lot. They have a really great community, the Estrella Mountains. There's a golf course there. You're tucked away against the mountains. There's a lot of new builds happening right down there. There's a planned community that's already built with new builds basically going out around it. Some extremely nice homes. You can get some really large homes there, 2,000, 3,000, even 4,000 square feet down there because it is separated from the city. You're pretty far away. I mean, you're 20 minutes south of the freeway when you're down there at Estrella Mountains. So pretty nice area down there. So besides Estrella Mountains, if you get closer to the 10, that's where you're going to get some more standard tract homes, planned communities. There are going to be some communities there. If you get above the 10, a little bit west of Litchfield Park, there are going to be some really high-end luxury type communities. They're going to be separated. You're going to find some ginormous homes in those communities. Those are a good option for some people because you're not necessarily maybe in the hustle and bustle of the city, but you still get these beautiful homes, great safe communities going on right there. The only thing that I would say is against Goodyear when it comes to maybe my favorite place I'd want to live is there's not a ton of amazing things to do. It's not known for any great unique restaurants, not a lot of major things happening. For the most part, you're pretty much always traveling to other cities, whether it be Westgate and Glendale, downtown Phoenix, or Scottsdale, that you're going to be traveling to do some of the better things to do. There's not really any major malls in Goodyear, anything like that. There are some, but none as good as the other ones that, are closer by in better cities. So Goodyear are some good homes. The median sale price there is $450,000, so $50,000 more than Buckeye. You're getting closer to the city. You're close to the 10. Pretty good freeway access. It's going to be more expensive. Now, your next option is going to be Avondale. So you went Buckeye, Goodyear, Avondale right there. And Avondale is very similar to Goodyear, except that it's only similar in those central locations. So basically where they're parallel to each other, I'd say very similar. You're going to have some tract home communities. You're going to have some decent planned home communities. But the difference is Avondale doesn't really have any luxury type living, where Goodyear has that Estrella Mountain down below. Also right in the corner of the 10 and the 303, there's going to be some luxury over $1 million homes. Avondale does not have that. It has some good communities, but it doesn't have any over-the-top communities. And I think this is a good option for people that are in that lower price range. So the median sale price there is $395, so even cheaper than Buckeye. And it's going to be close to the freeway, so you're still going to get pretty good access. If you work in downtown or if you work in Scottsdale, you could still get there in maybe 30 or 40 minutes. Not horrible, not ideal, but not horrible also. And if you really want to own a home and you're looking at that $400,000 price range, Avondale could be a good option because they have some, fairly well planned out communities in that price range, where some of the other cities that we're going to look at may not. Now, the next cities that are very similar to each other are El Mirage and Litchfield Park. So these two are right up against each other. They're near Sun City, and Litchfield Park is where Luke Air Force is going to be. And so both of these cities, as well as Avondale, you're going to hear the planes flying above. I think it's 3 days a week they have approval for. You get to hear some pretty awesome jets fly above you every now and then. That's honestly a cool sound to hear. And so these two communities are okay. El Mirage and Litchfield Park, they're planned communities, they're master planned communities. I would recommend to people. I think those are great areas. They have lower crime rates than the others, but the unplanned areas are typically not the best well taken care of in El Mirage and Litchfield Park. And similar to Avondale and Goodyear, there's just not a ton happening in these cities. They're a little bit smaller. They're not as well ran cities as some of the other ones surrounding it, and you're going to be traveling to other places for things to do. You're going to be traveling to Westgate. You're going to be traveling to P83 for your top restaurants areas. You're going to be traveling to Surprise when you want those best restaurants. So there's not a lot of great spots to be hanging out at. And as far as unplanned communities, I really wouldn't recommend it unless you have to be in that price range and really want to own. If you're like at $300,000, that's your max, then there are some places in El Mirage and Litchfield Park that can fit your budget. You can still build equity. It just may not be your long-term play. So besides that are now the three cities that I would recommend living in the West Valley. So we know the pros and cons of the others. The top three are going to be Surprise, Peoria, and Glendale. Goodyear and Avondale are very close in the fourth range. I'd say those two would be tied for fourth. But let's break down why I would recommend Peoria, Surprise, and Glendale. You decide which one is going to be best for you. I'll tell you which I decided was the best for me. So, Surprise, all the way, it's farther out in the West Valley, but they have practically only master plan communities. When you drive through Surprise, you're going to see a bunch of great master plan communities like Surprise Farms, Marley Park, two of my favorite communities in the entire West Valley. To describe Surprise, there isn't any really lower income housing per se. There's very few homes in the 200s, if any. So you're not really going to have any extremely rundown areas, but you're also not going to have any luxury type living. Everything is basically going to be in the middle. You're going to find homes between 350 and maybe up to 700,000, maybe the max you find in Surprise. And in the middle range, probably around 450,000, where most of them are going for. So you're not going to have any horrible communities. And the plus is that you're further away from everything. So very similar to how Stray Mountains in Goodyear was detached from everything, Surprise is fairly detached from every other city. It's surrounded by Sun City and Sun City West, which are 55 plus communities. So as far as safety goes, it has extremely low crime rates. It's far from the city, surrounded by 55 plus communities. It's a good spot for families to move to. It has some great school districts, some great parks. They build community really well over there with community events going on, 4th of July parties, all that stuff happening at the parks there. So in my opinion, it's one of my favorite places to recommend for families that are moving here that are in that middle price range, because you're going to get a newer house. Most things are built after 2000, so it's going to be fairly updated. It's going to be a build style you like, a lot of them with open floor plans, and you're not going to have to break the bank. You're not going to have to get to that $500,000 or $600,000 price range unless you want to, of course, but you can find a really nice home for $450,000 in Surprise, where it's a little bit tougher to do that in Peoria. So let's skip over to Peoria now. And Surprise does have some good things to do. I forgot to mention it does have some good things to do. It's actually building a giant mall there that is going in, and not to mention it has the spring training field right in the middle there, and they're continuing to build more things around that, more restaurants. They have a park, aquatic center, racket center, all that good stuff. So Peoria, next option. And when I compare Peoria to Surprise, I would say Peoria is similar, where it doesn't have a very low floor. There's not really any bad housing communities in Peoria. The difference is that Peoria is going to be closer to the city, and it has a luxury type living. So the cheapest house you're probably finding in Peoria is $400,000 for anything decent, 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,600 square feet, probably $400,000. And a lot of the homes are going for over $500,000 with their median sale price of $480,000. And Peoria has some of the best master planned communities in the entire Phoenix area. Fletcher Heights is incredible. If you're in that $500,000 to $600,000 price range, still want to be close to the freeway. Vistancia is probably my favorite master planned community. Only bummer with that one is you're further away from the city. So Peoria is extremely well developed, extremely well taken care of city, in my opinion. I think they have built some incredible top of the line communities. The Meadows, the luxury type community with huge homes, most of them over $1 million there. And you're going to find some great communities all across Peoria. It's also going to be extremely family friendly area, one of the better school districts in the Phoenix area. There's also going to be some great things to do. They have some amazing restaurants. They're really close to P83, or it is in P83. Peoria and 83rd is what it stands for. That's where every major restaurant is. Padre Mariners spring training, mall, shopping center, all that good stuff right there. So Peoria is probably a great spot for you if you are in that $500,000 to $600,000 price range. And you want to be closer to maybe Scottsdale or maybe downtown, where if you live in Surprise, getting there, it's going to be probably an hour drive, or maybe it could be 30-40 minutes if you live in Peoria. Now our last option is Glendale. And so Glendale is a very unique city. It is so different from the bottom to the top of Glendale. The southern part of Glendale is one of the higher crime rates in the entire Phoenix area. There's a lot of crimes that happen. There's a lot of lower income housing. There's a lot of apartment buildings, a lot of rundown housing communities that are down there. I don't want to completely bash it, but that is the facts. It's one of the higher crime rates in the Phoenix area is southern Glendale. Now the difference is, and what's odd about it, is northern Glendale is an incredible well-developed communities that are going on up there. So you have the Arrowhead Ranch, which kind of dominates the northern Glendale area. That is an excellent, excellent community built in the 80s and 90s, so not brand new, but it is a very well taken care of community. The HOA does a good job there. They have golf courses surrounding it, and Arrowhead Lakes is a luxury type living. They got a man-made lake where nearly every house has some sort of view to the lake, or you can walk across the street and see the lake, and most of the homes there are going to be going over 700,000. So Glendale in itself, very broad range of housing, and most homes in Glendale are going to be older than pretty much any of the other cities that we mentioned, just because it is closer to Phoenix. Obviously, Phoenix is where it started, and then it branched out to other cities going out. A lot of the homes in Glendale are going to be built in the 60s, 70s, and the 80s, so they're going to be a little bit older. But what comes with all this is that your prices are going to be cheaper. With the median sale price of $405,000, $80,000 less than Peoria, you're going to have a lot more options when it comes to home for sale, and it's going to be cheaper. And so my wife and I decided to live in the northern Glendale area, really close to P83. We're right next to Peoria, over here in northern Glendale, and we have loved it. Like we've loved it a lot. And the reason we picked it, I will tell you, for one, was the price range. So when we were first looking for a house, we're looking for a cheap starter home. We don't have a ton for a down payment. We were just living in an apartment. We're newly married, and we needed something cheaper. And our options were limited, obviously. Pretty much nothing was available in Peoria in our price range. Surprise would have been a great option for us. I personally wish we could have, but with our jobs, it just wasn't going to be a great option. My wife worked in North Scottsdale. Surprise to North Scottsdale, it's an hour drive. I don't want her to do that 3 times a week. That sounds brutal. And myself as a realtor, I work across the valley. And so if I'm living in Surprise and somehow supposed to help people in Scottsdale or Chandler or Gilbert, I mean, that's an hour and a half drive. I just can't help my clients that well doing that. So the central location of Glendale, combined with its price range, was the main reason we moved there. We wanted somewhere that we felt safe in the community, and we did. Obviously, we did our research. We found out we thought it was a good neighborhood to live in. We selected it. It was in our price range, and we were shocked to get our offer approved, in all honesty, because we were first-time home buyers. We were nervous, and now personally I love helping first-time home buyers because it's a really awesome experience to own your first home. Now that we have lived here for a few years, we're starting to realize that we love it even more. We love being close to P83. There's every restaurant we want to go to. We found some new ones we like. Barrio Queen in particular is amazing. You need to go there. Great chips and salsa, and so many unique, really good tacos. And not to mention the Westgate area. That's somewhere that we've really loved going. Every now and then they'll have concerts at night. Actually, they have them quite often, almost every Friday and Saturday. They have concerts going on at night. You can go there, hang out, get some crumble cookie. Not to mention, they also have some great restaurants and bars going on there. There's the Gila River Arena where they have concerts going on. The Coyotes play there. There's just a lot of good stuff going on in Glendale, and that area in particular is continuing to expand. We're going to have the Cardinals Super Bowl that's going to be happening in that stadium, so they're obviously wanting to grow that, make it a big deal. There's a water park going on. We have Topgolf over here, so there's a lot to do in the Glendale area. And for us, when we first wanted to buy a home, the price range mattered, and now that we've lived here, we're very happy with our decision. We are happy with the price range we got, obviously, now looking back a few years, and not to mention we've loved all the things there are to do. Now, that might not be the case for everyone. Some people don't need to be in Scottsdale or downtown Phoenix for their job, and so living in Peoria could be a great option. Or if Peoria is going to be too expensive for you, if you're going to be in that $400,000 price range, then I would totally recommend Surprise, Avondale, Goodyear are options for you if you're not too concerned with location. Now, if you are concerned with location, I can't help you there. If your job tells you got to work in Goodyear, well, I'd recommend looking in Goodyear. But if you have the different options, those are my recommendations. Peoria, Glendale, and Surprise are probably my favorite. Avondale, Goodyear are very close, right up there probably with Glendale. And when it comes to Glendale, I definitely recommend the northern part of it. So that's everything I have for the West Valley. Hope I gave you some clarity, a little bit more understanding of all the different cities, where might be a good option for you. If you're thinking of moving to the West Valley or the East Valley, I work there as well. I would love to help you out. My number is on the screen. Again, my name is Trevor Bragg. I'm a realtor here in the area. My service is free to you on the buy side, so I'd love to help you out. If you just want to call, chat about it, feel free to do that. I can answer some questions, 100% free to you. I don't charge anything out of your pocket. Thank you so much for watching. Share this with some friends. Share this with your mom and give me a like. And thanks so much for watching.